Okay, thank you everybody. And oh, good morning. Hello. So I'm going to talk about this precious opportunity. And we will have some visuals as well, which the team are prepared for. Anyway, I'm going to start with a quote that you will know. I'm sure most of you will have heard of it. Bhante Sangharajta said, what we lack are our emotional equivalents of our intellectual understandings. So we just simply forget. We're not convinced. And that applies to the preciousness of our human existence. And we know if we really do apply ourselves deep within us emotionally, that we have no time to lose. There's an urgency to make every day of our lives count. And these 4 reflections, these 4 reminders of what what we need to act on, and they have the power to motivate and inspire us. They help us to create the emotional equivalent to what is the intellectual understanding. So there's a visual coming up, and Swadeepa is going to read this for us.
Okay, this precious opportunity. Here, now, I have a chance to make something of my life. I have health. I have energy. I have the ability to think and feel freely. I have enough food and enough money to meet my needs. I live in a country that is free of war and many of the other difficulties people can face. I'm not trapped in a negative state of mind like madness, craving, hatred, or depression. All of these things can change, but while I have these advantages, I have a great opportunity. I've had the great good fortune to meet the Dharma. The Buddha taught it. It has been practiced down the generations. Thanks to my teachers, it has come to my country and into my life in a form I can understand and accept. I've had the good fortune to meet an effective Sangha, whose members offer me guidance and friendship. All these conditions have made the Dharma a presence in my life and made its practice possible for me.
Thank you, Swadeepa. So I've reflected on these verses many times over the years, and I found them really helpful, and I found them a very helpful way of sort of staying focused, staying on course. It is difficult to be born a human, and sometimes it's difficult to be a human, but we do know that human birth is precious. It is hard to find. Now, we think of ourselves as intelligent, sensible, fortunate beings, but despite that, we can't find true happiness. We let our lives slip away in unawareness of how precious this life is. It's easy to settle down and take life for granted, and we don't make the effort. And that's an obstacle to change. And this can easily happen when our lives are going particularly well. But then, even in my experience tells me that when that's happening, there is a nagging concern somewhere lurking around my mind that I need to up my game. I need to make more effort to progress spiritually. There is just no time for complacency. We cannot waste this opportunity if we want to find true happiness and true fulfillment. The Dharma is the only way to find that happiness and fulfillment, and we need to seize that opportunity now. So over this period of lockdown, I've given a lot of thought to this precious life. And particularly, I think, when I realised I was being classed as a vulnerable adult, more at risk, that actually was a bit of a shock. And it was even more of a shock when I realised that I needed to depend on others. We needed to depend on others. I wasn't going to be the one depended upon. So what are the qualities of this precious human birth? So there's another visual coming up of the Wheel of Life, which some of you might be familiar with, I think. Here it comes. Thank you. So you can see the realms on there, the 6 realms. So freedom birth is precious with these 8 freedoms, 10 endowments, and 3 kinds of faith. And that gives us a precious opportunity to lead a life full of real meaning. So the 8 freedoms are free from being birth as a hell being, birth as a hungry ghost, prater, birth as an animal, birth in a barbarian land, the Asuras, birth in the Deva or God realm, freedom from wrong views, freedom from being in an age without Buddhas, not being in an age without Buddhas, having sufficient mental capacity. So birth in the first 4 of these realms is depicted on the Wheel of Life, where there are extreme conditions and inhabitants are overwhelmed by suffering. There's no understanding of genuine selflessness and the need for compassion, and there's no consideration for others. No understanding of self-respect, remorse or shame, no responsibility or understanding that actions have consequences. And then there's the God realm, the Deva realm, where there is continuous experience of pleasure and satisfaction, free from pain and suffering, but they're not free from cyclic existence. There is intense pleasure, so no awareness of the importance of the need to change, and no concept of ignorance. Now, one of the first things the Buddha taught after his enlightenment was that the truth of suffering is the cause of which is ignorance. So in all likelihood, we do experience these other realms at times in our lives, but fortunately for us, we don't live in them permanently. Thank you, team, for the slide. Hold on, I'm just getting back to my notes. So our experience tells us that living as a human being is not plain sailing. Life doesn't always go as we want it to. Our hopes and our desires are shattered. We experience suffering, very painful experiences we have. The loss of loved ones, disease, difficult times, unhappiness, and eventually death. We experience samsara deeply. But the good news is that it can be positive. Because it is so painful, we want a way out. We don't want to be trapped. As humans, we have a reflective consciousness, self-awareness. So we have the ability, the capacity to change our views and change our lives. Now, Bhante talked about the potential for enlightenment inherent in all of us. Now, that's wonderful, marvelous news to know that. But as he pointed out, we can't just sit back and let it happen, because it won't happen. We need to practice ardently. We have to put in the effort to unfold to our potential. It takes patience, commitment, and the receptivity to recognize that need for effort if we're going to make the progress, but to make the changes needed for progress. And part of that is looking at our views. We need to explore our views, open up our minds to other possibilities. So looking, investigating, reflecting on our views can be very revealing. We can begin to see the need for change, what we want to change. When our views are not in line with right views, we cause harm to ourselves and we cause harm to others. And so it's important that we develop awareness of what is skillful and unskillful. Our spiritual friends can be a refuge here, helping us to explore our views in the context of the Dharma. We learn from each other if we are prepared to listen and be receptive. Now, personally, over the years, I've heard a lot of wise words from listening and observing my friends, particularly, but not only, those I consider more experienced than me. So being aware of how I can learn from them, how to be a wiser and more compassionate person. Learning how I can change my views, my habits, my way of being. helping me to build self-confidence and live more in line with the Buddha's teachings. And I do feel a lot of gratitude towards my teachers. In fact, two of my first teachers are on this, well, here, Jnanamitra and Bodhivamsa. As Dharmadina said in her talk on the preciousness and rarity of human life, we can grow towards our potential. We have a natural affinity with enlightenment. We need to understand that we can become completely free and help others to that freedom, enlightenment. It's the extinguishing of all suffering for us and others. We can lead a life that is rich and free of unwholesome actions. So appreciating this precious opportunity. And Khandro Rinpoche, a Tibetan nun, writes in her book, This Precious Life, appreciating one's life generates a courageous heart and a courageous mind. Appreciating our lives and our potential. But what happens? We lose focus. It's our tendency to err on the negative aspects of ourselves, to lose sight of our capacity and courage. If we can maintain that courage of heart and mind, we then develop deeper confidence. She says we focus on the bleakness of our ignorance and negative qualities. That is so easy to do, I find. That sense of being self-critical, feeling inadequate, disappointed with myself, pondering on my faults without seeing the positive qualities. It's so easy to feel the negativity, and that outweighs the positivity. So supporting each other is so valuable in helping us to overcome those wrong views about ourselves, see ourselves more clearly, and friends help us let go of those harmful views that hold us back, that gnaw away at our confidence and courage. So we need to look at our experiences with courage, honesty, and genuine interest, and we will find that confidence if we are prepared to change. Not only confidence in ourselves, of course, but confidence in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Then we can be wholeheartedly behind our practice. Ryokan said, "You must rise above the gloomy clouds covering the mountain top. Otherwise, how will you ever see the brightness?" We know we have the ability to change. We know this, and we know it takes tremendous effort. We haven't chosen an easy path. And this can all come about because we have the Dharma in our lives, and we have each other to support and encourage us. The Dharma is a jewel. It really is a gift, a real treasure. But not only have we had the good fortune to meet the Dharma, but we have some excellent teachers who help us to understand and accept it. I wonder where we would all be without Bhante Sangharakshita and his elucidations of the teachings. I'm certainly certain my life would be very different if I hadn't found the Ipswich Buddhist Centre, my gateway to the three jewels. I do know deep within my heart it changed my life. It is a priceless gift. So we do need confidence. We also need faith, deep faith. Deep faith supports us in times of difficulty. Faith, Shraddha, its importance is not to be underestimated. It's essential. And we need the three kinds of faith: trusting, clear, and longing. Trusting faith is the faith in the truth of conditionality. Faith that leads us to believe in the truth of the Dharma. We just know, we agree. Something within us wakes up when we hear it. I think in the very early stages of meeting the Dharma, this sense was played out when I first heard the teachings. I knew I was hearing the truth. I believed it. I still believe it deeply. And I understood that if I followed the teachings, I could be a much happier, less stressed, more fulfilled person. There would be nothing to hide from. And then there's clear faith. We resonate. We respond to the qualities of the three jewels. There is an emotional response and it's deeply felt. The more I heard, the deeper the conviction that I was hearing something valuable, something I knew I couldn't then live without. Life suddenly became brighter, took a new turn. Everything started to fall into place. The realization that what I had been looking for, what had been missing in my life, I had found. And I always knew from quite a young age that there was something spiritual that I wasn't in contact with. Something was missing. And thirdly, there's longing faith. The capacity to feel that enlightenment is possible. It's possible for all of us. Being capable of following the teachings and reaching our potential. All we want to do is practice, realizing its importance and value. Become the change you wish to be. It's a motivating power, faith, that can help move us on. So we've all been inspired by this weekend, I'm sure. And tonight, when we're at home sitting alone, probably, we'll be reflecting on the weekend and thinking that maybe this is what we want to do with our lives. This is important. We cannot live without it. We need to follow this path. And that's great today. Will it be the same next Sunday? Will it be the same the Sunday after? This time next year? We need to keep up that effort. The Abhidharma states, what is faith? That's, thank you. The Abhidharma states, what is faith? It is trust, longing and clarity in the cause and result of truths and the three jewels. And we'll just see the last verse because this is important. So, am I making use of this the opportunity this offers? How much time I waste? How much of my life passes in unawareness? How strongly my habits constrain me? I would be foolish to waste this chance. So let me commit myself to practicing as fully as I can. Thank you. I think you'll probably agree that all those statements are worth time for reflection, deep reflection. We do need to be totally committed to practicing as fully as we can. There is really no time to lose. We need to cultivate the courage, the confidence, faith and joy that's needed on this journey. We need passion, and we need to feel that deeply, deeply within our hearts and minds, that there can be no turning back. I think then we will be able to cultivate the emotional equivalent to our intellectual understanding. All these verses are pointing that out, that we have very good conditions to grow towards our potential, liberation, enlightenment. We need the three jewels. We need the precious gems in our lives. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind or in my being that that's what I need. And no doubt we need to make every effort to make the most of this precious opportunity, this precious human birth to achieve it. And finally, I've got a lovely quote from a Tibetan yogin called Shabka, who sang to his grandmother, who had said to him he was wicked for going off in search of the truth. And this is what he sang to her. Human life is over in an instant. To leave for the next life without Dharma, now that is wicked. Thank you.